the domain of a function. So the domain of a function, if I give f from A into B, the domain is not necessarily the whole of A. It's possible that this function is defined on a subset of the set A. For instance, I can define a function f from the set of real numbers into the whole of R. Okay, again. Then here, or let me do this. I can define f from domain of f subset of the set of real numbers into the set of real numbers. Fine. That says that the domain is not necessarily the whole of R. So don't have at the back of your mind as you're watching the video that I've said the domain is A, therefore all the time the whole of the set A is necessarily the domain. No, it can be a subset. For example, e.g., if we take f from R into R, let's define this as follows. F of x is equal to the square root of x plus 5. This is the definition of our function. From here, we can see immediately that the domain of this function is not the whole of R. Why? Because for the square root of any number to give you another real number, so the square root of a real number to give you another real number, that number must be bigger than or equal to 0. And so for us to find the exact domain of this function, we need to look at how this function is defined so that we know what is the exact source set or the input set or the domain set. So in this case, it is not necessarily all R. So how do we do this? How do we find the exact domain of this function? Like I explained, the square root of any real number can only give you a real number if that number is not negative. And so, for us to find a domain, we need to first of all find the values for which x plus 5 is bigger than or equal to 0. So, x plus 5 is bigger than or equal to 0. If and only if we simply solve this simple inequality, x is bigger than or equal to minus 5. If x is bigger than or equal to minus 5, then x plus 5 is bigger than or equal to 0. And therefore, the square root of x plus 5 will make sense. Hence, the domain of this function, so domain of f is nothing but the set of all real numbers such that that real number is bigger than or equal to minus 5. So this is the domain of this particular function.